Hey guys, what's going on? I wanted to share something that it just kind of popped up in conversation when I was talking to a friend of mine over the phone today. And I just thought it was just really helpful and profound. And, God uses regular things all the time to speak to us. And it's not super spiritual things at times. I know with me, it could be regular things like regular daily life things. And the Lord just has a word that he wants to talk to me about. He wants to share with me. And so as of recent, the Lord had told me to just be a little bit more silent and a little bit more silent with certain people in my life that he wants to talk to him on his own. I know that the Lord has us to talk to people sometimes repeatedly in a season, especially when God is trying to get people's attention and they're not listening. And so he'll send his children and he'll do signs and he'll do where he'll physically show up. I mean, there's so many ways, visions, dreams, all types of things where God is trying to get people's attention. And so the Lord had told me to be quiet in this season concerning particular people that the Lord uses me to minister to, because now it was his time. They're not listening to you and I'm speaking through you. So now they're going to listen to me because I'm going to directly speak to them. And so I was having a conversation with a friend on the phone, and I was telling her about a show I've been watching on Netflix called Call the Midwife. Anyone who hasn't seen that show, I really love that show. Just really quick, it's between late 1940s, I believe, to about 1970. And it's the memoirs of a nurse, a midwife, during that time. And, she's sharing different things and different experiences. It's a really powerful show just to see the innovation of the medical industry and women's rights, all types of things. Like, it's a really interesting show if you are interested in anything pre-war, post-war. I believe it's East London that this takes place, in the an impoverished area where they had a clinic, because medical care wasn't really available during that time so easily to those who did not have money. So anyway, I'm telling her about the show I'm watching, and there was a particular episode, I believe it was episode 3, season 3, and it was when Reverend Tom comes to the nunnery. Now, some of these nurses are from all over. They're relocated to be a part of this nunnery in the east part of London, in an area where it's impoverished. And this is an area where there was if you know anything about workhouses, anything with history, I'm a big history buff. So all those type of things, child labor, this is a tuberculosis crisis. This is a war, bomb crisis, like all these different things. People are coming back from the war. They have PTSD. There's no, so all these interesting things, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, like in history, is going on. Reverend Tom, he comes, and Reverend Tom was sent. He was a reverend and a missionary. His missions were in Africa. Reverend Tom doesn't stop talking. I mean, the women there could be talking about the and milk, and Reverend Tom will find a way to incorporate the and milk and begin to talk about his travels, his missions, like anything that he knows. And it's almost in a desperate plea to kind of connect with people. He just doesn't stop talking. He doesn't give a breath for anyone to even answer a question. So it's not a haughty or prideful or arrogant air about him. It's just a desperate plea he feels like over talking is helping him to connect, for people to get to know who he is, it's kind of almost on a desperate plea, a desperate level. Like, do you see me? See me, talk to me, connect with me. Like, everyone's running from him. When they're doing their rounds, they don't want to take Reverend Tom with them. So there is one of the ladies that had just come to the nunnery. Anyway, I can't remember her position, but she is something of a nurse in that arena. And she also does house calling. She may be maybe she's a nurse practitioner. So she's a little bit above just being a nurse. She's more on the opposite side of the spectrum. She's really quiet. Okay. And so anyway, she has a humble humility and quietness. Sometimes we have quietness where it's not humble and humility when God tells us to be quiet. It's filled with bitterness. It's mean. You can be quiet to hurt someone. You could be quiet to punish someone. But her quietness was a humble humility. She was open to learn. She was open to allow other people to talk. You know, it wasn't a real big deal of hers for her to get her point across. And so, they connected really well. They fancied each other and, you know, they like each other. So he's telling of all his travels. He's telling everything and she's just listening. She'll respond like here and there. But they were a really great balance because then he would begin to have time to allow her to speak like in small intervals. You know, he was digging that she just thought that he was the world because he had the gift of gab. So the point I'm making towards the end, he asked her on a date and anyway, something winds up happening when they go on a date to go dancing somewhere anyway. She's like hiding around the corner. It's like a whole big drama thing that's going on. So it's drama and chaos that's happening around Reverend Tom at the time when she shows up. So she kind of hides around the corner and then she just like runs away from it. So when he finally connects with her the next day, you know, he's telling her like, I saw that you didn't show up. I'm so sorry. And he goes, I'm so sorry that I never stopped talking. He said, because from a child, I could feel the hatred in the silence between my parents. I could feel the hatred that they had for one another. And so I never stopped talking, he says, because I don't want to ever know what lies within the silence, basically, he said. And that just blew me away. I thought that was so powerful. And so my point that I'm making, that God, just like in that moment, I'm having a conversation about just a regular, you know, little stupid show, you know, whatever. But God was like, yeah, and this is why I asked you in this season to be quiet with some people. Sometimes God will ask you to be quiet with some people because like Reverend Tom, you keep talking. You're really doing it from the goodness of your heart. You're really doing it because God has prompted you to say some things to people. But there's a silence that needs to happen. A silence sometimes because God needs to get that person's attention. And God is seeing, you know what, that person is not listening to my voice through you. So now I'm going to cause them to listen to me. And so I'm going to speak directly to them. I'm going to get their attention and I need you to be quiet. I need you to be quiet because like Reverend Tom, this is what God put in my spirit. He said like Reverend Tom, and he would not stop talking because he didn't want to know what the silence held. Some people keep up chaos. Some people keep up confusion. Some people keep up lies and deceits, dissension. I mean, confusion. I mean, like, oh my God, it's always drama. They're always picking a fight. They're always, because they know once there's silence, then they'll have to face themselves. Once there's silence, then they'll have to deal with their demons. Once there's silence, they'll really have to look in the mirror and they will have to see the reflection. And they know that when they look in that reflection, they're not going to like what they see, what like the word of God says. And so sometimes you need to take heed to when God tells you to be silent, because that's the season. This is the season and the time that God is arresting the souls of people, arresting the souls of those who are the sons of disobedience. Like it says, I believe in Colossians chapter 3, the sons of disobedience, those who repeatedly keep making a practice, religiously sinning, religiously ignoring God's voice through people, places, and things, religiously without end, in rebellion. And so God needs some people to be silent with these people, not to hurt, not to harm, not to punish, but so that he can get their attention, so he could talk and speak directly to them. So some people, God is speaking through you to speak to them, and they won't listen to the God in you that's speaking, but they will listen to God. And so I just hope that this blessed somebody. I just thought that was so powerful. Again, I was just speaking about watching the show, but I pray that this blesses somebody. All right. Peace.